Welcome to the Cosmic Nonsense Happy Hour. I am Jesse.
I'm Amy.
Join us as we dissect existence and laugh maniacally. Today, we are joined by Jennifer Rix, right? Yeah, awesome. I didn't want to go all fancy with it and be like French or something like that, where the X is silent. Jen has been mentioned, I feel like, probably many times on this podcast. I'm not keeping track, but I do feel like I bring her up quite often. She's super cool. And that's really what you need to know about her. That's the main takeaway. Jen's really cool. And I would go into describing what Jen actually does, like the services and stuff I know that you offer, but I feel like you'd probably be a much better candidate to do that than I would. Because I know you just recently launched your website, right? You got that up? Yeah.
Thanks for the intro, Jesse. I would just like to add that you're cool too.
Yeah. All right. Nothing but cool people on this call.
Cool people on the podcast. Well, to describe what I do, it's kind of woo-woo. I'm an energetic healer and I'm an intuitive healer. I help people with any type of trauma, past life trauma, soul fragments. I heal chakras. I go into the Akashic records and do a lot of trauma healing. That's my specialty. So, and then invisible karma, like what's going on in our lives right now. We normally aren't even aware of the things that are contributing to it, but it's in our energy field. So it's like a giant puzzle that is an absolute thrill to be able to dissect and help people put pieces back together and watch them light up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool because that's what's always to me anyway, very interesting about talking to you, because you do understand these things that like I have no idea of. So when you talk about them, it just lends such a different puts things in kind of like a different light, different perspective, and you're like, oh shit, what if it is like that? And that's when that woo woo starts to like leak into your life. You be careful. You start talking to Jen.
You start hearing me in your head, then that's when it's just you're out.
Yeah, I think it took I think a year and a half before I started hearing Jen-isms in my head.
People would say to me, "I just say, what would Jen do?" I'm like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah. Stop beating up on my buddy. Be nice to my friend Jesse. That's what I always heard in my head.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, absolutely. We're hard on ourselves. Really hard on ourselves.
Yeah, Amy doesn't know anything about that, being hard on herself.
No. No, I like when he quotes the Jen-isms to me when I'm going through something. And so then I have your head or your voice in my head via Jesse.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like a compounded thing. Jesse and Jen in there. Oof. I'm sorry.
It's like, oh, talk about healing trauma. That's
we should probably work on that.
Yeah. No, but okay, that's good. I think that's a pretty solid intro to tell people about you and what you do, and also why you're here, because obviously you're cool. Once we were next door neighbors for a while. What was that, like 3-4 years?
Yeah, it's all blurry for me.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Some interesting times there.
Yeah, and then and now sunny Florida.
Yes, sir. I moved 1,000 miles away.
Was that enough?
I might move a little bit further south. You don't know, but right now this is where I am.
Yeah, all right. No,
My mom is 2 miles down the road, and actually, when I got here, she had COVID. So I've been healing her. She has long COVID now. So once a week, I do a healing on her. But she's my guinea pig. She is all open and ready. Bring it on. Bring it on.
That's awesome. How old is she?
76.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that age, because isn't that I don't want to give anything away, but
Mm-hmm.
our one aunt, let's just say, she's about that age, and like she listens to this podcast pretty frequently. Obviously we're going to do a shout out to Aunt Dorothy because she's totally dope, and she loves our podcast, which I love that she loves it, and I love her anyway. But the fact that she even listens to like the
Aw.
stuff that we say on this podcast still just like blows my mind. I
That's a
don't
whole
know.
different generation.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
and Amy, I mean, do you find that surprising at all, or?
No,
Okay.
mostly because she and I have conversations like that too. So I guess I was a little surprised because we aren't always having a serious discussion about these things, and we get a little irreverent about certain topics. But
The two of us.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you and I.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's pretty open to stuff. She's
That's
like,
amazing.
mhm.
That's cool. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I guess I grew up kind of viewing her in this more like reserved mentality whenever I talked to her. Of course, I was young, so maybe that has, kind of a bit to do with it. But yeah, still blown away that that she actually like listens to and enjoys our podcast. So
Aw.
big ups there.
Mhm.
So before Amy joined, we were actually talking about um, Jen. Is there like a specific name about this? You sent me that article is about like the portal and it was closing, right?
It just
No?
opened yesterday.
Oh, it just opened. My fault. Uh,
I
yeah.
just
See,
skimmed the article. Did it say it was closing? I mean, the 222 portal probably close. I mean, the energy is still coming. I'll just say
mhm.
that. I don't know if the
Okay.
portal is going to close, but the energy is definitely still coming.
Yeah. So we were talking about this portal and the numbers, like having all these twos, I guess, in a row, and then just today, was it just this morning that that Russia attacked Ukraine?
It was about midnight our time
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
I
the end
just
of the
thought,
day.
because it was like 5 in the morning there.
okay. Yeah, it's still just crazy the timing, between that and then, as I said, because she said that it was like catalytic, and then also the fact that it's on the same day that we were going to be recording and talking together. I'm like, wow, man, like just the way that things line up. It's like that meme where they say, I'm not saying it's aliens, but aliens. like, like it's some form of coincidence that sometimes you can't ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Synchronicity.
synchronicity, that's what they call it, all right.
Hmm.
So Amy, anything have you observed any interesting matters in your life due to this around this time after 222?
I don't know if I would like categorize it in that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on right now, but it all is like mostly the family stuff that we've been involved in.
Yeah.
Trying to take care of business.
Yeah, and I think so I guess to like address one of these points that I had mentioned, and it probably does kind of go along with some of the stuff with well, I mean, just to give it a name and a face, moving our mother, and it's just been like Oh my gosh, what a crazy time. But to talk about timing and patience and letting the universe deliver things, it's I feel like that can be obviously quite difficult because I think anymore, I mean, people are just becoming like less patient. I could be totally wrong about that, but I feel that's kind of just, with everybody getting like 2-day shipping and stuff like that. If you have to wait like 2 weeks to get something now, it's like you feel like you've been transported back to the early 2000s, or you live, completely off the grid.
I don't know. I mean, I think when it comes to, especially like you brought up manifestation, for
Mhm.
me, it was always like if I'm too amped up about something and too focused on it, it feels like it takes forever. But that moment that I like take that deep breath and get calm about like this is going to happen in its time, like that's when it just seems to like everything kind of flows the way that it's supposed to. It's like as soon as you surrender to it, then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I like that word too, to surrender to it.
Right? Because if you're focusing on the absence of it, all you're doing is holding it away.
There
Mm-hmm.
we go. And Jen, would you say that kind of ties into the that like lack mentality, like focusing on what you don't have versus focusing on what you do have?
Yeah, that's a pattern that's really deeply ingrained. It's really hard to break. I mean, when you grow up and that is your reality, like anything, it's a lot of unpacking of that to realize that you truly can have anything you want in your heart's desire, but it's a redirect. You actually have to retrain your brain.
I was actually just about to say that because Amy and I, we had talked about this. I forget what episode it was, but
It was programming.
was it serious? Was it that long ago?
It was the first episode.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we were talking about uh just how you look at, let's just say, finances, because it's a pretty easy one to examine. How many people, and I watched a YouTube video about this and stuff. It's fine. I'm not going to talk
So
about it.
you're an expert.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what
So I'm an expert now on
you're
on the
doing?
matter. As you can see by this, I had to move the piles of money off of my desk
Oh,
in order to
oh,
actually,
we're grateful that you did.
yeah, or else you guys wouldn't
Ah,
see it. Yeah, you wouldn't have
ah,
been able to see me.
ah,
Yeah, that doesn't make for good content.
PR.
But I think one of the easy things that I kind of did was just to train myself to, because I would always say, and I'm sure this is pretty common, like, I can't afford this.
Mm.
So right there, you're saying you do not have enough money to possess this item, or basically you cannot possess this item, possibly. Uh, so
I've
instead
caught
of that,
myself like 3 times this week uttering the words "I'm broke" and
ooh,
like snatching it back. Like, no, 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 I'm fine. I have
Clear,
abundance.
delete, cancel, clear, delete. Right?
yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah. So instead of phrases like that, I tell myself these days anyway, um, look, I have the money, but I'm not using it on this right now. When I'm ready, I will get it, you know? So it's kind of, uh, so to me, I feel like that's a bit nicer, or at least that you're still like, no, 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 I do have money, but I don't have money for that particular item at this exact moment, but I will be getting it.
It is nicer, so it's a step up. But
Yeah.
what you're talking about is abundance in general, though, not just money, all abundance. So if you can refocus on that you are abundant in, that allows the money to come through. But most people are so touchy-feely about money because they believe there's a lack of it. But
Oh,
if you
sure.
can refocus on what are you abundant in, and there's so many things if you look around your life that you have an abundance of. So when you walk around, you tell yourself, my gosh, I have an abundance of whatever it is. I have abundance of space. I have abundance of friends. I have abundance of fresh air, sunshine, just, simple things. I'm so grateful for running water in my house.
Yeah. That's
a big one.
yeah, that's something I think we even talked about at one point. Just like, hey, I'm just glad I have indoor plumbing
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
Hot
boy,
water.
that's really
What?
cool.
Water,
Hot water
right? Well, I can have hot or cold water in my
comes
house.
right out of my faucet.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just get up and I'm so grateful. It's like 5 steps to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I'm just so grateful for that kind of thing. That lays the new neural pathways to your abundance. That type of acknowledgement of what you are truly abundant in already.
You know what? That actually we talked. So we talked about financial lack for just a second there, but another one that I've been catching myself on is time. Oh my goodness. I'm really good at doing it too. Ah, man, I don't have time to do this. Oh, I just wish I had more time. If only I had more time, I could do this.
That's been a big one for me, especially with
Oh, I
this
bet.
whole moving situation.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking there's not enough time. And I'm trying really hard to come up with like a better way to put that in my head. It's like, no, I have plenty of time. I just need to choose what I do with it a little more wisely. And I don't know if that's good.
Jen,
But it's what I've
your
got
thoughts?
right
I see
now.
some wheels spinning over there.
I do. I'm like waiting for her.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, but essentially you're lying to yourself because what you're saying, you're expressing, I wish I had more time, but then you're trying to counter it with, I do have more time, but and that's your body's like, nah, reject, no.
Mhm.
So how can you refocus that on, I'm choosing to spend my time doing this. I'm choosing to do this with my time. I am so grateful that I have the time to do this. That's the slight shift. Don't try to lie to yourself and turn it 360 around because you're never going to buy it. You're going to kick that right out. No way. Never. I grew up with a mom and she still, if she had time, well, you have time to do that. I have the same 24 hours as you do in one day.
Mhm.
It's how you allocate it, what's important to you. And honestly, what you spend your time on does reflect what's important to you. And that shows up in your bigger reality. So, I mean, it's important where you put your focus.
I really like that.
I agree with that.
Ooh,
This
I
is why we need
agree
a
with this.
guru.
Yeah, I agree
you
with
what?
this statement.
Mr. Guru.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's something I've been going through a bit of myself because um I feel like I like get on my case about stuff
Mm.
when it's not getting done. But meanwhile, I am getting other things done, right? And Jen, like you were just talking about, it's like, well, those are the things that I find more important. So again, just to call out specifically the thing, I got laundry I gotta fold. But my dishes are done. Dinner's been made. I'll get my workout in. My dog's in a good place. You can't even hear him or see him, which means he's probably chilling, which is really nice. like, so I'm aware that those are the things that I've been focusing on. I'm focusing on my work. Obviously, we're here having this little chat right now,
Can I
and
throw a big one in on you? This is more for Amy than you, but it's
yeah,
definitely for you too. But where do you fall in that list of priorities? What's going on for Amy?
yeah, Amy. Yeah,
I'm
Amy, what's
doing
going on with
this
you?
right now.
Oh, I'm just curious. It sounds like you're really pressed. You've got kids, you've got a mom. It sounds like you're taking care of. But where's Amy and all of that? And you'll find if you can focus in on her, that things are going to go much smoother all around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he and I had this discussion this past week because I was getting to the point where I was super overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And I have things that I do enjoy and that I do for a multitude of reasons, but one of the biggest ones is just simply that I enjoy it, and that's growing things. So this weekend I sat down and took that time for myself, and I planted my seeds while watching, my YouTube videos that I love, and the dogs were, around me, and it was like, this is my time. This is what I like to do. This is enjoyable, and it was worth it to take that time. And it's so much better because a lot of times, you think, oh, I'll take a break, and you get on like a game or something on your phone, and it's just not the same. It's like a distraction from
you.
Yeah, from you and from the overwhelm, and it's not the same.
So I just challenge you to allocate that time for yourself without needing to be on overwhelm to
do it.
Do it. Put
yourself. That is the goal this year.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like the building's already burnt to the ground and now you're like throwing water on it. Like,
No.
Yeah. No, we can still save it.
But it's as a woman, and sorry, Jess, I'm going to leave you out of this for just a second, but as
That's
a
fine.
woman,
I'll step right on out of the way.
In a patriarchal society, we've been programmed to meet everybody else's needs before our own, and that's why we're experiencing so much burnout. And really, to step into our true power, you can't do that without putting yourself first.
Yeah, that first part is the part I struggle with the most. Absolutely.
Well, we have to be perfect, right? We have to be we have to look perfect. Our house has to be perfect. Our kids have to be perfect. Everything. It is quite a heavy weight.
See, I feel like I've given up on a lot of that.
I was waiting for something like that. She's like,
no, you don't have to be perfect.
Not Good. Trying that anymore.
Well, good. A lot of women are in that place. So.
Yeah. No, it's an easy one to fall into, I think, just in general, especially when you care about things. You want things to be, perfect, and it could be for a person. If you have a kid, you want to try and make their life perfect. I know, Jen, we've talked about this plenty of times. It's like, and Amy probably as well. I mean, it's like you want to shield your kids from things, and you want things to sort of live inside of a vacuum at times. And I think that feeds into like the control aspect of, I don't know, just anything really. Like you want to control a situation, you want it to be perfect, you want like plans, Amy. I'm sure, you would like them to go according and not get messed up.
We will talk about that later.
Damn, that's not even like podcast content.
Touchy.
No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. I've given up on plans.
Jeez. So I did want to ask, because I was curious when you said you took that time for yourself when you were planting seeds and frolicking amongst the wildlife and and things like that. Did at any point you feel bad or like make yourself feel bad or like guilt for not taking that time and putting it into something else?
That time, no.
Oh, that time.
Other times, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you had met your threshold, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No more fucks to give for Amy.
I'm all out of them.
Yeah. All out of fucks. That's good though, but yeah, I guess sometimes it does take you to get to that point, right? Where you're just like, that's it. I got nothing for nobody. And you walk and you storm off and you go off to do your own little thing. But at that point, sometimes it's like not even enjoyable. You're just like, jamming seeds into the earth like fucking. Oh,
No, it's always enjoyable.
good. So you got that. So that's important to Amy.
Hmm.
Baby chicks, that's a new thing. Well, not a new thing. Obviously, you've had those before.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah. When's that happening?
Middle of March.
Level of 0 to 10. How excited are you?
Like 20.
Aw. Aw. Baby chicks are the coolest. So
Yeah.
you've got animals, you've got things that you grow. I'm assuming you have children and a husband, and you're also taking on moving your mother.
Yeah.
Wow. Hmm. And do you work?
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course. This is what I was talking about with having so many roles and feeling like you have to meet all these other needs. Where's Amy and all of that? No wonder you're exhausted and hitting the ground saying fuck it.
Yeah.
So Jesse, where are you in your
Amy's like,
this
whoa,
right around?
whoa. I'm coming under fire over here. I don't
Sorry.
want to look too deep into my mirror.
Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna ask her too.
Oh.
Bring it. I'm good with it.
Yeah. No, I'm doing great right now, man. That's how I've been telling people, but I also believe it. That's the weird thing. Because
Ah.
before I would go to, because that's like such a common thing to ask, somebody is like, how are you doing? And there have been plenty of times where I'm like, I'm okay. And I think generally when you say I'm okay, you're not really okay, typically. Because first off, you only use 2 words. One of them was a contraction. Like, you shorten that answer to as much as you could possibly, to just, that's acceptable. Let's move past it, you know? And I do generally try and think about that. I don't know about you guys, but when someone says, how you doing? I like to generally give them a real answer. I did that to one person the one time at work. Hey, how's it going? Fucking awful. I just kept on walking. They were just like, oh shit. Because it's like what do they call it? Platitude? Where it's just kind of like, oh well, we just say these things. Like, you don't, like, hey, what's up? You just keep on going. It's not, you don't always expect an answer, but sometimes it's fun just to give people one, even if they're not looking for it. But yeah, and I know it seems like such a small thing, but to me, like, to tell someone that and actually mean it, it's like, to me, it's almost unheard of, because I feel like and Amy, I know we've talked many times about goings on and stuff like that, but yeah, I think I've just been trying to like go for stuff lately, and I have been more patient with you know uh even things I knew that were coming. I just like, all right, it'll show up, it's gonna be here. And I'm like, okay. But now I'm at this point where I've like noticed it, because it's like, I don't know, life is so weird. Like, I was just talking with a friend about this, because you hear a lot of these things over and over, like, get better at saying no, and stop being so selfless. It's okay to take time for yourself. But how often do you actually like just, but do you get it? Because it's like life is so, is experiential a word?
It is now.
Okay.
I like it.
Life is an experience. Life is not a knowledge. Okay. Like, you don't just like know stuff and that's how you live. Like, you have to actually like experience it, and then you can get it. Because there's so many things can be told to you, but, and it seems like so simple, right? Well, you just got to start saying no. Well, what do I say no to? Or what if they get angry? Like, because we're just like beating ourselves up and feeling guilty about stuff or, selfish. But yeah, I think I'm kind of at this point where I've said fuck it, but I didn't necessarily get to burnout to do it. I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna do what I like to do, and those are the things that I'm gonna focus on. And those baskets of laundry, well, I just keep pulling laundry out of those baskets, and they get empty. So why should I change? It's like
Who says they need to be folded and done any different?
I'm starting to question that now myself.
Curious.
This system is working so great for me.
All right, remind me not to have the children listen to this particular episode. There are too many of us in this house for laundry to not get put away.
Yeah. So yeah, I just I think to me that's been such a huge, I don't know if I want to say awakening, but I like to use the word awareness a whole lot. And that's why I did mention developing awareness of, I'm saying inner whisper because I saw it, I think, in one of Ramin's drawings or something like that. He was talking about the inner whisper, and I was like, oh man, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think that's how I've been letting a lot of my decisions and things like that just be made anymore. It's just like, okay, well, what do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? Is this something I like? Fuck no, I don't want to fold that laundry. Like, you know what I would like to do? I'd rather spend that time working out. I'd rather spend that time cooking food that I have, or taking care of my dog. Literally anything else, honestly. Talking with you guys.
I think that's beautiful awareness that you have developed. Congratulations. Like, we got on the phone, you said, I'm really doing good. And I'm like, what? And you're like, no, seriously. I'm like, wow, good
It's
for
like,
you.
oh no, I mean it.
Yeah, I was like, what? That's awesome. Yeah.
Because for a second, even when I said it to you, I'm like, wait, am I? Wait, no, I am. Even I was surprised. Yeah. And for me, I think a lot of that had to do with, some of these things that just I've been doing lately. Oddly enough, alcohol, haven't had it in quite a while. And I've been replacing that with like some of these other good things. It's like where once I would have just wound up on the couch, had a couple beers, got tired, went to bed, and then felt bad because I didn't get shit done, and then woke up feeling shitty in the morning because I had alcohol right before I went to bed. But now I got like all these reasons not to, and that's been really cool. Same for weed. Like, haven't touched the stuff, which is a shame because I do have a decent amount of it, but I don't know, maybe I'll just like sprinkle it in a potted plant pot in like one of my plants or something like that, and maybe it'll, Amy, you know plants and living things. What can I do with it?
I don't know, actually.
Of all the plants,
you could compost it. I don't know. Seems like it would be a waste. Maybe give it to somebody else.
Oh, there we go. That's a better idea. I don't need that stuff around me. I'm good. For
Somebody
some
gave
people,
me a bunch and I haven't touched it, so it's just sitting there. I
yes.
should probably also find somebody who would enjoy it.
For some people, like it works for them. I think even from a energy or like a spiritual standpoint, like they're still open and aware, supposedly anyway. Like I'm not going to say what's right or what's wrong for somebody, but I just know it sure as hell wasn't working for me. Like, And Jen, you're about the same, right? You don't have any I don't know, like vices like that, like alcohol, you don't drink, you don't do
Well, I'm addicted to
drugs.
sugar. I've never gone down the path of that, no. But, addiction there's many different forms it can take. Sugar is my big one. I've released caffeine, thankfully. So that
Oh,
one's gone, but now working on sugar. So, and I never speak into anything I haven't done myself. So sugar is my body, I can't do gluten. So I'm a very sensitive, obviously, as an intuitive healer, my system is very sensitive. So there's a lot of things I had to release and just to be who I am.
yeah.
I'm not going to be an energy healer if I'm drinking alcohol at night or smoking weed.
Yeah, no,
Does that make sense?
yeah, I know, I totally get that, and I think just even from just even if you're not an energy healer or something, I think it's good to at least every once in a while just see life, without any sort of filter, because I feel like and we've talked about this, I think, in like programming and stuff like that too, but we just kind of filter our reality anyway through various different, or it's filtered like for us through different mediums and stuff like that. So it's like, let's try and see things as clearly as we can,
But if somebody needs that for that period, then
Oh,
they
sure.
need it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I certainly don't beat up on myself because I mean, that was during the time that, we knew that we were going to lose our father, and you know what? I think we gave ourselves a whole lot of grace during that period where it was like, nope,
Right.
we're going to eat whatever we want to. We are going to smoke and drink if we need to. We are going to get through this and come out on the other end. And I think we came out, better for it. At least, um, I'll speak for myself on that one. I don't know about everybody else. Like everybody's experience is a bit different.
Trauma. You
Yeah.
survived trauma. And
Trauma.
whatever that looks like, however that happened, you survived. So beautiful.
Yeah. There was one thing I did want to ask, and I don't know if this is too personal for you, Jen, like for this talk, but I don't know if I've ever asked you about this before. So I know you were like, this is back in the day, you weren't doing anything, you were in constant pain, like you weren't moving around and things like that. What was it ultimately that got you out of that?
Right. So I was in an abusive marriage for 22 years. And as a sensitive person, unaware of my empathic abilities, I was taking on the weight of him and all his energy, which is exactly what happens in these dynamics. Well, it affected my body to the point I had multiple physical issues. So when I left that marriage, I couldn't even take care of my most basic needs. Like I couldn't get off the couch and go to the bathroom without being in excruciating pain. I couldn't like open a can of soup and microwave it. I couldn't stand long enough to take care of my most basic needs. And it was from being in this toxic environment for so long. So before that, I was in an abusive home. So that stuff was all in my energy field. So our physical body is the last part that shows what's going on behind us mentally and emotionally. So you can imagine how compounded that was. I had spine surgery, and then I also had complex regional pain syndrome, which, if you look at, there's a McGill pain scale, and at the very top, above amputation, cancer, childbirth, is this complex regional pain syndrome. It's the most excruciating form of pain anybody can endure. I had that, and when you have that, there's no treatment for it. They tell you it's in your mind, and that I was
Like that's not what you want to hear.
right. Well, It kind of was. I mean, I was told by my doctor in the Cleveland Clinic testified that I would be wheelchair bound within 3 years in 2014.
Oh,
And so for me, what started my healing journey to be where I am now, it was that I had to heal all of that. I had to undo all the trauma that I experienced as a child and that I experienced in that relationship. I had to undo the trauma of the court system that was traumatizing for me, undo the trauma that I experienced going to the hospital and, being turned away, thinking they were like, you're just here for pain, you're a pain addict or whatever, being turned away. And all these different areas of trauma, I had to heal all of that. There was no other choice for me. And that was.
So it was basically you were kind of backed into a corner almost, and you're just like, all right, well, I got two choices. Either I just sort of like melt into this like, just puddle of pain basically, or I get up and actually like start moving forward. But like just the fact that you did though, because I feel like a lot of people would probably just give up,
Well, when I was laying in my bed when I was still in my marriage, and I was in all this pain. And my window, I was on the second floor bedroom, and my window was 3 feet away, and I couldn't physically get myself to the window. But if I could have, I would have thrown myself out of it. That's where my mind was. I just wanted it to stop. I didn't care how it did. But actually, that night I passed out from the degree of pain. I just passed out, and I had this beautiful dream. And when I woke up, I was surrounded with angel wings. So it was a reminder who I was and to keep going. And it was my kids. I kept going for them. So, everybody has a why, and I couldn't leave them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, because I know we had talked about that before, but I don't know. I just started thinking about that the other day. I'm like, but what was it that like, got you to push through and like and keep going? But yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially, talking about the universe and things like that, and how how some of these messages kind of get delivered to you like that, like you're talking about the dream that you had, and and yeah, and even like what you do with that information obviously is totally up to you, because some people they experience things like that, and then I mean I've certainly done it, where you like have this beautiful dream and you wake up and you're like, oh, like, oh man, I'm still here. I thought I was in the dream, and that was really cool what we were doing there. So yeah, the fact that you even saw that as like some sort of communication to you to like, or it inspired you to like take your life in a different direction. That's that's pretty awesome, inspirational, I might say.
Imagine laying in bed, not even being able to move, and then finding out that you have to file for divorce. So it was like very compounding. And I'm just grateful that I did not get the vision to see ahead what was coming, right? Because when I was laying in bed and thinking I wanted to end it, that was the worst it could possibly be, right? No.
Yeah.
No.
Of course not.
At all. Right? I'm so grateful I didn't see ahead, because I would have never had the strength to walk forward. So we always have what we need when we need it to get us, to keep us going.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a whole a whole other topic, I think, because I mean, even what you said there, like you thought it was as bad as it could get, and we were just talking about manifestation and things like that. And so the universe is like, what's that? As bad as it could get? No, 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 no. There's still more that you have to go through, but
it makes sense, like what's going on now on the planet, right? We want things to be different, yet we don't want things to change. Well,
yeah.
and my lawyer even said, well, things are going to change. So, but in my mindset at the time, I'm just like, well, just have them move out. I mean, it was just such a simple thing for me, but the process of undoing a lifetime, that you had built, everything had to go, everything. And that's what's going on here. Everything has to go that's not working. And it's not fun.
Yeah. 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 Party hats will not be provided.
No.
I had no control over any of it. I just was like a bystander and a witness to my life as it was unfolding. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a choice in any of it. My only choice was how I was going to internalize it and respond to it.
Yeah, that's man, that's something crazy right there too. Just how certain, like, let's just say objectively bad things happen, and it's like, but you do get to choose like how you identify with whatever's happening, or whether you identify it with it at all, you know. And it's like how close you hold those things is, there's kind of like a correlation to how much, you know, suffering maybe, you know, you might feel, according to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is free will, right? How we choose to view any circumstance, any situation is our free will. That's what free will is.
Yeah, it's so wild because there's certain things where it's like, so, not to keep using it as an example, but you know, the passing of our father, it's like, even though there's a part of you that wants to move past it, there's also this part of you that's still holding on to that pain. And it's a very strange situation to find yourself in. And I've heard this referred to in, I think Buddhism. They talk about, like, if you swallowed a hot ball of lead or something, it's like, well, if you swallow it down, it's going to do damage, but if you force it back up, it's still going to do damage, you know. So it's like, what do you do? Because now you're stuck, you know, in this type of situation. I like to, the visual that's popping into my head is like, one hand is holding on to this thing, the other hand is over here holding on to this. But it's like, I, you know, but it's weird to want to hold on to pain in specific. And I think that's like, I don't know. I mean, Amy, what would you say? It's like a, almost like a comfort type thing, because you're like, you don't want to necessarily, because like letting go feels like losing, maybe.
Um, yeah, I would say that it's like they're actually gone at that point, if you're specifically talking about grief.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can hold on to the memories. I don't know, like as far as this particular situation right now, I mean, it's still pretty new.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, and so like with these different situations and different things that we're having to do, it's not like holding on to the same pain. It's having like new things crop up and having to deal with that.
Mm.
And then like, okay, I dealt with that one, but then like something else pops up. Like, okay. little little pain around the heart region.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know, I guess it depends on what kind of pain it is too, because it's just missing him. It's not like regret or anything like that. It's just missing him.
Yeah. Well, and to that, the one thing I know we've talked about, just even in our family, is how surreal it is, because it's still, like, it's still hard to wrap your head around that someone that you've had in your life that long is, I see, I didn't even want to say it. I was going to say gone. And I, you know, there was something in me that was like, oh, but is he, you know? And I think, you know, from like a, something one of my friends told me, Heather, she said, don't stop talking to him. Like, keep talking to him. If you got something you want to say, just keep saying it. Like he's listening. And I was like, yeah, I mean, all right, I'll give it a shot, you know. But I feel like I got no reason not to. And part of me still likes to believe that. And I think that's kind of one of those things too, especially when you have a situation, like death, where it's like now some of those things that, I mean, personally, I thought I believed, they're kind of being called into question now. It's like, okay, well, do you really believe that someone's energy stays around or gets, redistributed throughout the universe and they're never truly gone because energy never actually disappears and, all this stuff. And so I'm like, all right, so if I say yes, and I do actually stand behind those things that I believe, then technically no one's ever gone, and we never really lose anything. And that right there, I think is a tough thing to really like come to grips with, I guess. It can be challenging. I get it. That's like when Amy, well, Jen, you were the first person I talked to about this. This is a totally different topic of conversation. I'm very intentionally changing it. But that there was that one affirmation that I received in the numerology app, and it was something along the lines of uh, every decision I make is right. And I remember talking to Jen about this. I was just like, but how? And I don't remember verbatim what you said to me, but it was so awesome. And I was like, oh, okay. No, I get that. It was something I even thought about. I'm bringing up now because I thought about it just recently. Because really, you make whatever choice you're going to make. And I think as long as you're making that decision, and this is my opinion, making that decision based off your own, I don't know, intuition or desires, thoughts, then you can't miss, right? Anybody else?
I believe that is true, that we're always doing it right. You can't get it wrong. I mean, does it serve you to believe that you can get it wrong and that you're going to make a catastrophic decision? I mean, it doesn't serve me to believe that. So I'd like to choose the, no, I'm doing the best I can, and everything I choose is great. It's all great.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look great to everybody else? No. Does it look great to me sometimes? No. But I don't know like the big picture of my own life, but I trust. I have a belief in the universe that I trust. I trust the bigger energy and the bigger picture. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful right there. Because because you don't know what's going to happen next, like as a result of those decisions. And sometimes really great things have happened, like, okay, well, this person wronged me. At least that's how I viewed it. But that helped me to, develop in such a way that I don't let that happen to myself again.
Exactly.
And things like that happen.
And we're the ones putting judgment on whether something is good or bad.
Yeah.
Totally our judgment. That's things just are. But what are we adding to it and heaping on to it? But like you said, everybody's a teacher, everybody's a student, and everybody that you run into has something to offer you. I mean, my ex-husband was a phenomenal teacher. I've had a lot of phenomenal teachers. And I am so grateful for that. I am truly grateful for them.
Never related to something so much in my life.
We've had some amazing teachers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never would have called them that, but I like your phrasing much better.
Well, when you're in relationship with them, they're not, you don't feel that way about them. But I can say that in hindsight and look back and go, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, I like that. I like that a lot because yeah, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen next. So So only at that time does it feel like a bad thing, and you're the person attaching or putting that attachment to it is a bad or a good situation.
Right, like they say suffering is optional. It took me so long to really grab a hold of that.
Mhm.
You know, I was in pain and I was truly suffering. I'm like, what do you mean it's optional? Well, you're choosing to suffer. I'm like, what? So like I would like sit down in my living room with pain and suffering. We're just having it out. I'm like, show me, help me understand. Like, how can I not suffer? I'd love to have that. Please show me the way out
Yeah.
of that, you know. And pain is a beautiful teacher too. And what we, like you were talking about with our kids, how we try to prevent that. And
Mhm.
are we doing them a disservice? Right? We're trying to keep them in this bubble where pain never seeps in, but that's a catalyst to growth. And they're here to grow. Their beautiful souls are here to grow too. So
Yeah. And can you ever truly keep them from experiencing whatever it is that they're meant to experience, you
no,
know?
right? No way.
Yeah.
No, but
And
we
would you
can.
want to?
That's the real question right there. Would you even want to, because I mean, one way of looking at it, like you're robbing them of that experience. And isn't that what we're here for?
Why are we here?
Oh, I don't know. That's, oh my gosh. We have yet to make that a podcast episode.
uh, what were you going to say, Amy?
We can definitely teach them like coping mechanisms to deal with pain and conflict. But yeah, trying to shield them from all of that is no bueno.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I grew up in an abusive home, and so how I wanted to mother was I didn't want any abuse to infiltrate into my kids. Like I wanted them to experience a life of not having any abuse. And I'm only giggling because I didn't know I was married to an abusive man. So of course they suffered abuse and all kinds of trauma, but not at my hands. But still, it did happen because these things were still alive in my energy field. So.
Mm-hmm.
I had to reconcile those pieces too. I was fraught with guilt for a long time over, you know, their childhood and different things that happened. But we're all doing the best we can, right? I was doing the best I could with the information I had at that time. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's like you only know what you know.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't unknow it.
Yeah. Trust me, I've tried.
Get that out.
Yeah. No, damn it. I was gonna say, oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Um is that Ozzy?
No, yes. He's growling. Somebody's barking. The nerve.
Yeah, I'd recognize that ferocity anywhere.
Thought it was my stomach for a second.
Oh my gosh, he's all he's all upset.
He's all alpha dogged up.
Oh yeah, he is the alpha. But yeah, I think that's a good practice though. I think when something you perceive as bad happens, can you think of positives that will result from that, or like
It's hard to do Johnny on the spot, isn't it?
it can be,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like to try it. It just makes me feel better. I'm like,
It's a process.
yeah,
You get there.
yeah. Oh yeah, certainly. It's one of those things where, well, like we were just talking about, easier said than done.
Mm. I mean,
Um,
I'm still working on. I'm in this great mood and everything's going well. I have my energy. I'm just like all full up. Yay! I get out and somebody cuts me off in traffic, and I'm like, okay, this is happening for you.
all I know I was me over here. Oh, I'm doing really good, Mr. Really Good over here. And then last night, my fuzzy little teacher, Vash.
Oh,
Oh, that boy talking about, and he was hitting all the right buttons, because all the stuff we were just talking about, like priorities and where I put my time and all those things. Well, it was later and I was doing the stuff that I wanted to do, but he just kept on coming in there. Like he'd show up in the room with a toy in his mouth, or he'd just sit there and stare at me, which is, oh, that always gets me. That always gets me. I was trying so hard last night not to let it, and for a while it wasn't, but I think he knew, so he just kept doing it. It's like, okay, a half hour, I can deal with this, but an hour, no. So I'm walking him down the street like, son of a bitch, gotta go outside, walk my dog. This is my time, my time.
I bet he was just had a big grin on his face.
Oh my God. But I caught myself was the thing. I caught myself. I was like, and I thought about patience and everything like that. And I'm like, what am I even upset over? Like, big deal. We're just walking down the street real quick. Gonna take him back inside the house, and I'm just gonna continue to do my thing. And if he wants to sit there and stare at me, okay. Maybe that's his entertainment. Maybe that's just what he likes to do, I guess. But at the end of the day, I mean, I did all the stuff that I set out to do, minus, of course, fold the laundry, because that's just been a constant checkbox. And then last night, I'm like, you know what? Let's take it off the list.
Right, right. I might beat myself up for this checkbox. If it's not on the list, good.
Yeah. Like a bouncer at a club, like, oh, sorry, you're not on the list. Get out of here, nerd.
Not a problem. Mm-hmm. That's a continual thing. And patience is, I think that's like, I consider it a muscle. And I always say, oh, my patient muscle, we're really flexing it and we're growing it. I wonder how big I can get it right now. Like standing in line, you get in line to return something. You have a very small window of time. And there's somebody in front of you who's got issues, right? Or the check, there's always something. So I always just laugh and go, okay, what can we learn here? And what can we expand on here?
Yeah. I think that's always a good question to ask, is like, what can I learn from this? Because if everything happens for a reason.
And how can I bring light and love into this? I'm always like, how can I, because there's people behind me and you can feel them, like staring holes through you and murmuring and just carrying on. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that person. How can I be a different energy here? Mm-hmm. How can I show kindness and grace? This poor lady with all these people staring through her.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Because when you are, I mean, I imagine, I had to have been that person at one point.
Well, we all have been, haven't we?
Yeah.
Or have been the person who's checking that person out.
Sure.
Trying to help that person.
All the roles, right?
Because those next 10 people are going to be complaining about exactly that.
Right. Every time, every person. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's an interesting place, Jesse.
You say Florida?
Florida's an interesting place.
I a lot of.
Sorry, they are.
That was the dog.
Hey. No. The dog.
Oh, all right.
Out here.
I hear another dog, I think.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, he's in the backyard. He's got a lot of nerve.
So Ozzy's got to puff up his chest.
Yes, that's it. Yep.
But I was going to say, speaking of trauma, Amy over here having a history in retail.
There's a reason I don't do it anymore. And I am like 0% surprised that they're having a hard time getting employees right now for any sort of customer service.
Yeah. Yeah. It amazes me that how people will treat people in those positions. I like one of my friends, she was telling me that she was at a ice cream place, just the Zero Zest over on, was it State? said that like the one time she was there, there's this lady like screaming at the girl who was, working at the time. And it's like, what are you doing screaming at someone who's giving you ice cream? Like, of all the places that you could lose your shit and like freak out on someone, ice cream, it's like, it's like magic. It's wonderful. It's amazing.
You would think so.
Yeah, it's like,
but I worked at an ice cream place too, and yeah, same thing. More than
insane.
once.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. How people will, treat people in those service positions the way that they do. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should start yelling at waitresses and stuff like that.
Don't be that person.
But what if there's something to be gained from that experience, Amy?
I don't know. Is that like a power trip or something? Do you think?
I don't know.
It's just a projection. They're just projecting their pain. That's their pain body. They were triggered by something and they're projecting it on somebody. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's important to realize that. So when somebody is projecting their pain on you, you can step away, not take it personally. That has nothing to do with you.
I think a lot of things are like that, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think like we talked about this before, where it's when someone's being like real nasty to somebody, it's rarely, or that person is generally not happy. You're not like in a good mood and then all of a sudden this person just triggered something in you. It's like that's got to come from somewhere, right?
Unhealed pain. Just unhealed pain. Those people are not aware of, right? Most people aren't aware that they have pain that's triggering all this, and they want to point the finger at the other person. Well, when you point the finger, you have what? 3 pointing back at you. Nobody is ever to blame, ever.
Not even you?
Yeah, well, of course we are.
Oh,
if something's going on in my reality that I don't like, I'm causing it, right? So how can I sit back and readjust? Like even my dog's behavior.
That's a whole other conversation.
Right.
Yeah. That is, oh my gosh. That is really something though. When you try and look at something through that lens, right? You're like, okay, this is my reality, and if I create my reality, why is this happening? And but then I feel like there's also a little bit of kind of detective work on your part to try and figure out, okay, why is it here? What is it supposed to teach me? And if I'm to replace it with something, what's it going to take, right?
It just all becomes funny to me. I mean, what Buddha, he's depicted laughing, right? Life to me is very funny, and when these things happen, it just makes me giggle inside because I can see, because I have worked on myself so much that I can see almost immediately what's going on, and it just is funny to me. I'm like, oh, okay, we've created this. All right, let's roll with this.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's sometimes a very natural reaction, because shit can be so ridiculous, or the timing is in such a way that you're like, of course this is happening. Why wouldn't it? Obviously. Yeah. So along those same lines, and maybe this might be kind of like a closing topic or something like that. Something I was thinking about today was kind of viewing things as a game, and like you said, like having a sense of humor about things. I feel like as a society, maybe we like people like that are kind of looked at like you're just fucking crazy. Like if you get to a certain point where you know, certain things don't affect you in the way that people would typically think. So, you know, let's just say, for instance, your, I don't know, your water heater blows or something like that. Damn it. Sorry, Amy. Like, I know you.
Oh, I laughed plenty about that one.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. As long as you're in a good place in regards to that. But, you know, when something like that does happen and you're not all just like, oh, I'm so pissed off this fucking thing happened. People are having a tendency, I think, to look at you a little bit strangely, like when stuff like that doesn't quite affect you. And wait, I can't see you, Amy, so this is making it very difficult to tell what's happening over there.
No, I was just thinking about the time my wheel literally fell off my car and the UPS driver stopped to let me use his phone and see if I was okay. And I was laughing like a lunatic, and he just like looked at me like I was totally batshit. Oh, sorry, cat. Maury wanted to be a part of things.
Aw.
Yeah, they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying is like, how do I say this? Like, it makes me wonder sometimes if that was looked at as more of a like socially accepted type thing, if people would be more inclined to view them that way, or maybe there's really no way around it because like we were talking about before, you kind of place these values, these attachments upon some of those things, right? And you know, for example, with something, you know, like a water heater or your car breaking down or something like that, there's also like a financial impact to it. So if you're in that lack mentality, right, and you're like, well, how am I going to fix this? I don't have the money to take care of this. I'm broke, if we just want to say that one, you know? And then like you get all worked up about these things. And I know that there have been certain things that have happened to me recently where I pretty much understood that that was sort of my situation, but I just chose not to fucking freak out about it because like, well, for instance, a car blowing up, if that were to happen to somebody, uh, you just think to yourself, well, I gotta drive, so I just gotta get a different car, I guess. You know, and at some point, you know, it's like the money and everything like that just can't even enter into it. Or it didn't for me because it's just like, well, fuck it. I mean, what? I don't have a whole lot of options here. I certainly would like to drive. So I just took it upon myself to get a nicer car than the one that blew up. That's all. The second time.
Well, I think some of it, you know, I just view as like the general, like it's like an admiration for the universe's ability to be like nonsensical, I
Man,
guess.
dude, you came out you came out of nowhere with that. That's beautiful. I love that.
I just sometimes you just gotta like appreciate the ridiculousness that life is, and like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think to some extent too, then you can be like, that's right. That happened to me. Life
Yeah,
served
then you
that
can
up
own
just
it.
for me to experience. Yeah, own it. Yeah. No, there is something beautiful about just being able to own your own experience. And I mean, it's happening. It's if it is a game, if it's a show, it's all for you, you know.
It takes away the seriousness of it. It feels like a pause, just to kind of step back and go, all right, we can relax a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, you just need those moments.
Mhm.
where life's not so heavy and serious all the time, because it's not supposed to be. From what I understand, it's supposed to be fun.
What I can't remember what it's from, but I thought that was like a sign or like a shirt or something like that. Like, isn't this supposed to be fun? It's like, is it? Is it? Are you allowed to? Because I'm an adult now, and I've heard that's not okay.
Oh.
That's right. We're supposed to be serious,
Mm.
and we have responsibilities,
Mm.
and other words that end with ility, dependability,
Abilities.
accountability. Ugh.
Ooh, he's throwing out all the ugly words.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. See, it's just look how that made everybody on this call uncomfortable. It's like that just
No.
shows you how wrong that feels to everybody, because it's just like, ugh, no. Take it away. I don't want it.
Why'd we ever buy into that in the first place? I can't wait to get older and have the abilities that you're just saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Get attacked by all the illities. No, I don't want them. Yeah, I know that was a big thing that that Alan Watts talked about a lot too, is life is a play, you know, like all the world's a stage.
I've
And
heard that too.
yeah, and you're just sort of acting out a role. But part of me feels, but I think, yeah, sometimes when I view these things as a game or as a, like, okay, well, what role am I playing today? Like, I almost look at myself kind of like, oh, I don't know, that's a little too much, bud. You better back off. That's a little too crazy. You can't act that way. You can't look at life that way. It's serious. You're you. You are Jesse, and you are expected to act like Jesse at all times. You make people second guess you, you're in a world of trouble then, buddy.
Is Jesse not allowed to change?
Well, that's what I'm saying is like people like we were talking about earlier is talking about the world changing. Change makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're real uncomfortable right now.
You started this saying when you have a different response than what other people think, does it make them uncomfortable? So it's not. Are you concerned with how other people respond or react to you?
Oh, sometimes, of course, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a real tough one, I think, to break away from, is to how people look at you, and certainly it has a lot to do with how you view yourself. And should you be concerned with those things? I think I've gotten a whole lot better at not being concerned, but to say that I'm completely free from it, well, wouldn't go that far. I still got some of the illities chasing after me.
Well.
Yeah. Amy, did you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
Sorry. He's trying to climb on the laptop.
Is he normally part of when you're doing a video? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, I don't normally do videos.
Okay.
This is only the second time Jesse and I have done this way.
Okay. I'm just curious.
And he just he was next to me the first time. He's very active this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just cat.
Yeah.
Cat behavior. I was actually that was another thing I was thinking about. Jen, are you allergic to cats, or you don't like them, or what is it like, or you just don't have one? That's all.
No, I just don't have one. I mean, I understand that cat allergy is because I understand that cats are magical, and they represent a lot of magical energy. And when somebody has a cat allergy, it's like it's a dark spell that somebody's put on them because they're magical.
Interesting.
I do now. I totally believe that. I would believe that cats are magic.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem like it, because you don't know what the hell's going on with them. I view pretty much anything that I like just don't understand and have tried to, but just can't. I view that as a type of magic, because there's just really no explanation for it.
Like my world, they're sensitive to energy. That's why I was asking if he normally does that. He's probably super sensitive to the energy that we're putting out.
Like in a good way?
Or he wants me to let him out of the room.
Oh, maybe the energy is really bothering him. Yeah, either way. Yeah, it definitely stirred him up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also the laptops, they give off heat. And so the cats are like, oh, this is nice and cozy.
He does. He sleeps on Tony's work laptop at night.
Interesting.
Which makes Tony super happy.
Oh, does he leave it open? He like sleeps on the keyboard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, that'll do it. Definitely had Watts send some just complete gibberish to some of my colleagues because he just decided to walk across my keyboard. And gosh, I do love that about him. That's great. It's great. Actually, I'm super. Oh, he's over here on Amy's chair sleeping.
Watts?
Wow.
Yeah.
My little podcasting buddy?
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I asked that though because Jen, I feel like you have that like a cat vibe.
A cat person vibe?
No, not a cat person vibe, but like that you'd get along with them well. Because like, okay, well, cat's off here doing their own thing. I'm over here doing my thing. Maybe we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
Cats are very independent. Yeah. I mean, I like cats. I like Mr. Watts. I hung out with him.
That's right.
I just don't like a lot of responsibilities. Like I have a friend who's like, you need like an iguana. I'm like, well, I know. I don't even want like a plant, not even an air plant that needs nothing. I don't want no more illities. One, that's it. I can't,
Yeah.
No.
Don't you try and you're trying to gift me an illity? Get out of here.
Right. I'm at the place of simplifying everything. And it's a beautiful place. And I never want to go back to being heavy under the illities. So
Yeah. No, I just thought about that. Like, well, yeah, I could relate to that. Like, oh yeah, she's an Aquarius, and I get it. We don't like to be boxed in.
no, not at all.
Don't chain us down. Don't box us in.
Don't slap a label on us.
Mm-hmm. All those things. Yeah. No, I totally get it. Simplification. There's a beauty to it.
It feels amazing. Well, if everything holds energy and you have a lot of stuff around you, like I had a lot of stuff from my previous marriage around me that was draining me and causing me all kinds of issues. So,
but like, how much patience? Well, as much patience as it takes. Like, how does it feel good to push and shove? Does it feel good to feel like essentially you have to handhold and things like that? Maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, what happens if you step out of the equation?
Oh man. What does happen?
What happens if you do nothing?
I think we're bordering on another conversation about control here.
I told you I re-listened to that episode. I needed to take some of my own advice from that one.
And did you? What advice did you take of yours?
basically just, you know, backing off. It's the same thing we were just talking about, like just stepping out of that.
Did you?
It's called boundaries. It's healthy boundaries. You got to stay in your own lane, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's none of your business. None of your business.
None of your business. Yeah. Well, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with something else that we've talked about previously, is like recognizing what's yours and what's not yours. Like, this isn't my bullshit. Like,
that is where I do struggle, though, because I love to use the phrase, not my monkeys, not my circus.
No, that's a good
you
one.
do.
But sometimes when it comes to like our family, especially because we are really close knit, it feels like we're all part of the same circus. It's just not my tent.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I'm the trapeze. If you want the like elephants, they're down there. They're in the other tent.
Mm-hmm. But
And so I struggle with that a bit when it comes to family.
And those are beliefs about family too, and again, healthy boundaries. And I had the same thing drilled into me when I was younger. Family is, you know, blood is thicker than water, and family is everything, Jen. Family is everything. And I'm asserting myself and becoming my own person. And my, you know, it hasn't been easy. My mom got long COVID and was bedridden. And she called me and I came over and I'm like, look, this can't continue. I'm your daughter. I love you. I want to help you. I know you're from a different generation, but I can't be this person for you. What you're asking me is too much.
yeah.
And yet she comes from the generation where she's asking that because that is what's normal. That's what's expected. And I get that, but that's not the role I want to play. So I had to really, you know, define some things and say, for this we can get help, and for this we can do this, but and this is where I will help you. But I can't do it all. I cannot. So you just
Man.
have to find your groove and what feels best for you. And know when you honor yourself, you honor everybody too. So I put these into place, and sure enough, she rose to the occasion. So it wasn't, she didn't disown me and kick me out or whatever. She was grateful for the opportunity to grow into that too.
There's a lot of wisdom, I think, in what you just said there. And I know I feel like I've heard this from you so many times, and it never like it never ceases to like have an impact. But it's like what's good for you is good for everybody. And it's so easy to make yourself feel like garbage because of that. Like from that standpoint, because if you're not, like, if you do place that sort of responsibility, again, illities,
Yeah.
if you do place those illities on yourself and you're like, well, my mom, she's sick and I got to be there for her, and I got to wait hand and foot, and I got to be in there, you know, doing all these things for her. I feel like it's easy to kind of put that on yourself. But
You want to hear a bigger expanded version of that?
hell yeah, I do.
This is a repeating pattern in my life with her. And so I had a healing session with my mentor, and what we discovered was a past life connection where she was my mother in like the pioneer times, and I was the oldest daughter, and I was 16, just coming into my own when I should have been stepping out into the world and find myself a man, and my life's about to begin. And her husband went off and never came back. We don't know what happened to him. So she was abandoned, and I took on the responsibility of the household. Everything fell on my shoulders. So that part of me was still existing in that time, because all time's fluid, right? It's all happening now. So that's why that was still playing out in our relationship. Once I healed that part of me and we brought her home and she was so able to relax and stuff, that's when I was able to incorporate these healthy boundaries. So it's not something that you can actually just think yourself to. There's actually healing that has to be done, that, you know, you have to bring these pieces home. There's a reason why these things are happening energetically. So that was like the bigger expanded version of it.
Oh man, I just thought of something else too, because we were just talking about, obviously we were using kids for an example of this, but talking about trying to shield people from experiences and things like that. It's like, well, what happens if you do kind of step aside or let this person figure something out for themselves?
Magic happens.
Yeah.
They grow. I mean, I have 2 kids. I've had to completely step out and let them do their own thing. And it was so hard and so frustrating and to step out of that role as the mom who thinks she knows best and just to say, okay, this is your life. Let's see what you do with it. And boy, they never cease to impress me. I say that I just had my youngest son come and visit. And when he showed up, I was like, oh my goodness, he had lost so much weight. His beard was all scraggly. He was wearing clothes way too big for him. Just not taking care of himself. So, here they are living in this environment. Mom, show me how to, what clothes do I wear and show me how to clean and all this. But look, I'm just thrilled that he's stepping into that part of who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have loved for that to happen sooner? Yes, is right. Going, oh my gosh. But then I'm so great. He stepped into it on his own. I didn't have to stand over him and tell him, this is how you do this and this is how you do it. I just let, you do you. And so finally he was able to he was ready to take on ownership of his own life, his own behavior. No, he's 22. He'll be 22 this year. So he's a late bloomer.
You know what? That's
It's
better
hard.
late than never, right?
Yeah, but it is hard to stand back when you can see, I know you can, Amy, when you're a divine feminine, you can see the potential of somebody else. And man, seeing that beautiful potential in somebody is really, I don't know, Jesse, you probably can too, but you have to understand the difference. And the beauty of that is you can hold that potential of who they are and hold that space. Know that they will get there in their own time. You don't have to direct them there. You don't have to be the one that pulls them into that place. When they're ready, they'll step into it. Mm-hmm. But it can be
frustrating is a word.
I have to ask myself all the time, dating, this one will haunt you. I married a guy who I married his potential, not who he truly was. I married his potential. And for a long time, I kept trying to pull that potential forward. It was never going to happen. So.
Yeah. No, I totally get that one. Like, you kind of create an image of what you view that person to be, and then sometimes, maybe not all the time, but when they don't meet that expectation, that's when the issue happens. And I think for me, something I just find just fascinating to even think about is like, well, how do you not do that? How do you just accept someone completely as they are?
That's unconditional love. We don't know much about that since we grew up with conditional love, but that is the basis of it. How do you accept somebody just how they are? Wouldn't you want that of somebody to do of you, though?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's even kind of fun to play around with too, because then what happens when you ask the question, yeah, but who am I? Who am I really? And if I want them to see who I am really, and I don't really know who I am really, and I want to see them who they are for who they are really, it's like, oh, what are we doing here? Like, I have no idea what to do. Yeah, I don't. It's
not about seeing, though. It's about just accepting whatever is presenting itself.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I know. I don't know if you follow her much anymore, Jen. But oddly enough, Teal Swan.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. No.
Did you?
No, she's got some really interesting energy going on. I can't. Mm-mm.
Yeah, you can't even handle it.
She's extra.
Yeah, I like the light better. I tried to. I tend to stick to those coming from the light.
Yeah, you need that like diet teal swan.
The diet teal swan.
Teal Swan Light.
Yeah, teal swan light.
Is that version available? Sweet.
Yeah. But I do know she did say something at one point, and I'm pretty sure you're the one who shared this with me. It was like, or maybe it was you, Amy, or maybe she said it twice in 2 different videos. But it was basically like, what am I making this into? Essentially.
Oh, what am I making this mean?
There you go. Like, what am
Yeah.
I making this mean?
What story am I assigning it to?
Mm-hmm.
Assigning to it, and it's done unconsciously a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it's like reactionary, you know. It's like you just, this information comes in, it fits this category, and this is how I'm going to treat it, you know. Oh, this doesn't go according to the plan that I had set out, therefore it's bad, so we're just going to put it here, and we're going to get pissed off at it until it changes. Yeah. No, I think that's a lot of awesome stuff though, because I feel like we covered a lot of that, like letting the universe deliver topic, because, you know, talking about, you know, someone's potential, how you react to things. Well, I mean, a lot of it is you just have to take it as it is and figure out what you're going to do about it, or what you're not going to do about it. Because a lot of times you just take your hands off. I mean, the problem's, sometimes it solves itself.
Sometimes it seems foreign because we're used to such a masculine way of being, and when you're in the role of receiving, that's a feminine role, right? As a feminine role we receive, and that's what the energy is switching out of the masculine energy into the feminine. That's why it feels so weird. That's why anything goes wrong when we put a masculine energy to it, and we're like, we're going to do this and push forward and do that. It's not going to go right. It's not, because the energy on the planet doesn't support that anymore. It's supporting a feminine energy of receiving and allowing.
I feel like that's very very Taoist. Well, I think I've said that about you before though, Jen, that you have that like Taoist sort of mentality to you, where it's like, you know, do not force, because that's what they're, you know, as far as I understand it, that's a big component of it, is like not to force things, and to kind of, all right, well, if this is the way that the current's moving, all right, well, I'm going to go along with the current and not waste my energy trying to like do this uphill battle. I think so many of us, I don't know if it's a programming thing or what, but it's like, you know, and I know I've heard this, you know, talked about with in other regards, but it's like, if you're not suffering, it's like not worth it almost, or you're not learning something.
Well, that ties into the belief that life is supposed to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I think life is supposed to be fun. So, I mean, already we're at 2 different places. If you believe life is supposed to be hard, then that's what's going to show up in your reality, because it's based on that belief. It's based on that belief.
It's so funny.
The universe will give you ample evidence that you are absolutely right. Whatever you believe is absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. If you can't have growth without suffering, there it is.
Right.
Ample suffering.
Likes this. She likes it. Let's give her more. Do you listen much to Abraham Hicks? Are you familiar with? Because they talk about the flow, like you're talking about, and turning around and trying to go upstream, and how it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
unless you're a salmon.
Yeah. Makes you wonder about them, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happens when they get to the top of the stream, though?
They get eaten by a bear?
They did.
Sometimes they get eaten. Oh. Yeah.
Or they die, right? They do their thing and die. I don't want to get up there and die. I'm going to take a lot of energy.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me glad I'm not a salmon. It makes me not want to live my life that way. Like, oh, geez, do I want to do that? Nah, not really.
Yeah, there's a lot of animals that like spawn and then perish though. And I think salmon generally get a few seasons before they just kick it.
I think my favorite's the praying mantis.
Right?
Those are my favorite.
Not a big fan.
No? Well, you know. Nothing.
But I mean, I guess what a way to go, though, right? I guess if you get your choice, I mean,
Why not?
Post coitus.
yeah,
Peace out.
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I feel like we've done a great job here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah?
Pat ourselves on the back. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So in closing, Jen, what is the website URL for your services, your
You can reach me. My website's called Empowered Metamorphosis. You can reach me at Jennifer@empoweredmetamorphosis.com.
doesn't get any easier than that.
It's simple. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you don't do the social medias, do you?
Yes, I'm on
Well, the Facebook.
Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel that I haven't posted anything on for years, but it's called Survive to Shine.
Well, you know what? If we post this, I imagine you could link this bad boy all over the place.
I sure could.
Yeah.
I could definitely do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Jen, thank you so much for stopping by.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me come into your world and be a
Mhm.
part of Cosmic Nonsense Happy Hour. It was a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah.